Black Hills State bounced back with a 34-20 win over Fort Lewis on Saturday in Durango, Colorado, and improved to 5-4 overall and 4-3 in the RMAC. This week, the Yellow Jackets return to Lyle Hare Stadium for senior day in their home finale against Adams State. I'm Alex Dodd, and this is the Black Hills State Football Show presented by the Rapid City Journal, where for 20 to 30 minutes each week, we'll take you inside the program with head coach Josh Breske. And Coach, we only got a couple shows left. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm a little disappointed we don't have noon ball today. I was looking forward to giving a couple buckets to Coach Thompson maybe, but no, that actually never happens. He absolutely runs me every time that we get a chance to play against one another. But, obviously we got BH Media Day for Winter Sports today. So I'm looking forward to some basketball coming up here in a few weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot better weather for basketball than football here pretty soon.
No doubt.
I know this past weekend here, it was pretty miserable. So you're probably glad you didn't have a home gate last weekend.
Yeah, no doubt.
But shaping up nicely for you this weekend.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about last weekend for a little bit first. I guess, first of all, how much better was that Raising Cane's after picking up the road win?
It was really good. We did Raising Cane's and Chick-fil-A. I thought maybe we'd hit that trifecta and get like some Zaxby's or Popeyes or something. But no, it was good. It was really good as far as the whole trip. A little bit of a long trip. We kind of ran into some weather on the way home and ended up having to stay over Saturday night in Colorado Springs. But our bus drivers did a great job getting us home on Sunday. We didn't quite get home until about 7 p.m. on Sunday. So everyone was a little bit tired, kind of lagging in a little bit on Monday. But we've had a good week of practice so far. Weather was beautiful down in Durango. Everything went really, really smooth. We had a team meeting on Monday, and I kind of just expressed to the team, we have to continue to make sure that we're getting better from week to week. And I just don't necessarily feel like we have, especially looking at the last 3 weeks. We've kind of leveled off. We've kind of plateaued in a sense. And, I just really want to be honest with our guys about those things so we can work on those things. And, they took that to heart, and a lot of guys are showing a lot of change this week, and we're looking forward to a great output. But overall, I was very pleased with the trip to Durango and the outcome of the game.
I guess for you guys rushed for a season high 344 yards. How impressed were you with the way that your offensive line set the tone in the run game, and that you guys were able to kind of break free on the ground?
Absolutely. I feel like our offensive line is peaking at the right time, and that's they're kind of represent what I'm looking for out of all of our position groups. And, maybe at the beginning of the year through the first 5-6 games of the season, first half of the season, wasn't extremely satisfied with our offensive line play, especially with the amount of sacks that we've been giving up. But we've really stepped up the last few weeks, and those guys have been gelling. We got Nate Clay back, and he's healthy and playing again. Michael Forney, one of our freshmen, has stepped up and done a really good job. But really, it's those three interior seniors. It's Trey Tremblay, Troy Middlestetter, and Nate Clay have been doing a tremendous job just improving from week to week. And, it was great to lean on the run game, and Susel kind of got the chance to just be himself and run hard and just be a dude. And he was a dude. And Cam Goods was able to step in and make some things happen and had a nice one-handed catch. And 344 yards on the ground. That's a good day, and 0 sacks. And so shout out to the offensive line group and their production here in the late part of the year.
You mentioned Nolan, 173 yards on 15 carries and 3 touchdowns. How good was it just to see him, like you said, be himself and get to have over 150 yards of production and score a bunch of touchdowns and do Nolan Susel things?
Absolutely. And on 15 carries, that's the part that's kind of nuts. And going back and watching the clips, and he had a lot of 8 and 9 yard runs, and he was carrying a lot of guys on his back. But the matchup wise, I feel like we had the edge as far as the trenches were concerned on both sides of the ball, and we did what we were supposed to do on the ground. But Nolan gave some great effort and just ran hard and didn't dance in the hole. He had a couple of runs in the previous weeks where he just wasn't himself, and he was trying to maybe get a little too cute in the hole. And this week it just seemed like he was running through people's faces and carrying dudes on his back. And so awesome to see. And I think we can continue to grow on that. And he's been healthy. He's been leading. He's been doing a really good job this season so far.
Things didn't come as easily for you in the passing game this past weekend. Tanner Clarkson finished 7-14 for 150, a touchdown and 2 picks. Was it something that Fort Lewis did in coverage that kind of opened up the run game and made it a little bit more difficult to find rhythm in the passing game, or what would you kind of attribute that to?
Well, we opened up passing. We kind of knew that we could get behind Fort Lewis's defense, and we did. We just weren't connecting on those deep balls, and so that was frustrating. We had a number of times where Mitch, Hassan, Jamin Wirtz, and TJ Chucker were behind DBs and open, and it's something that Tanner continues to work on, and something that we've talked about is, if you throw a ball too deep, that doesn't mean you need to put take a bunch off on the next throw. And it kind of seemed like that's what Tanner got into a little bit. And, the elevation is certainly something that he's never dealt with before. You look at our 2 highest elevation games were 2 of his, most, I'd say, off games, just throwing the ball. But as far as commanding the offense, being a leader, operating, he does those things really well. We got to continue to work, even though there's only 2 games left, there's a lot of improvement that can be made in 2 games. And no one takes it as hard as he does when he has a game like that. But he still was able to complete some nice passes and do some good things. It just kind of seemed like, we overthrow a receiver, then we underthrow him. Then we overthrow the next one, then we underthrow him. So it kind of reminds me of my golf game a little bit. We put in caddy Band-Aids. You hit a slice, so you put a Band-Aid on it, and now you're hitting it straight, but you're aiming over here. And it could be frustrating for quarterbacks, but we did get a chance to get Jake Blair in the game. Cade Weber, our true freshman, was able to use another one of his, red shirt rule games. And so it was nice to get those guys in as well and see some production out of them.
Are you hoping that, obviously depending on how things go the next couple of weeks, but are you hoping to maybe get them some snaps maybe this week if you have the opportunity and continue to see those younger guys develop with some in-game experience?
Absolutely. And, like right now we still have 6 quarterbacks on the roster. Unfortunately, Jackson Miner was sick last week, got sick right before we hit the bus trip. And so he would have had an opportunity to get in the game last week and would have loved to have seen him throw a few balls. But and he's been having a really good week of practice. Yesterday, he was incredible, was putting the ball on the button and doing some really good things. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what you want to strive for. And you kind of look at the scores of what some other teams in the conference have been able to do against Adams State. I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse and start predicting what the light bulbs on the scoreboard are going to say. But if we take care of business and we execute the right way and we can run the ball the way that we did last week, I don't see any reason why we couldn't get those guys some more reps.
What did you see from your defense this past weekend? You limited Fort Lewis under 100 yards rushing and really kind of didn't let them get a rhythm at all offensively. How good was that to see from your guys to kind of keep them out of a flow and take care of business on the road?
Absolutely. I was really impressed with our defensive line play. We played really physical up front, did a good job with our hands. We frustrated the offensive line of Fort Lewis. And then our linebackers played really well. It was great to see, we're doing a little bit more rotation with Raymond Iglesias and Jaden Marquez, where at the beginning of the year, Jaden was a starter and was running, 3 series before Ray would come in. And now they're kind of going every other, and it's making them both better. You look at Aaron Teal, Ryder Blair, those guys are who they are, and they're doing a great job. But we're extremely physical. We chased the ball really well. We had a number of PBUs from our linebacker group. We just weren't able to find any takeaways. And that's the one thing that's kind of been frustrating this season is not getting the quarterback down to the ground when we have a chance to, and then not creating takeaways on defense. But, our run defense the last few weeks has been really, really good. We've been limiting people on the ground and forcing them to throw. The issue that we're having right now is we're a little banged up in the back end. I think overall as a team, we're kind of banged up, probably just about as much as everyone else. But especially in our back end, Nick and Doodles, Levinsky Simon, Zachariah Rodriguez Brown, those 4 DBs are taking a ton of reps for us right now. And, we put a lot on those guys. And so, there's a little bit of grace there as well. But the big thing that we got to do that we've really struggled with the last few weeks is we got to eliminate the deep bombs. All right. We can take body shots, but we can't be taking those head shots throughout the game.
Looking forward to this weekend, Senior Day, obviously a big day for any program. Wanted to talk about one senior in particular, who I think I mentioned in the preseason is going to be working on his PhD by the time they leave Spearfish. But Nolan Susel, you're going to honor him this weekend. What has he meant to this program since you've gotten there, and how special is it going to be to honor him this weekend in front of the home crowd?
My wife actually showed me a picture, and she's our biggest fan. My wife is, and I'm very thankful to have a wife like Elena, and she's just she cares so much about this football team. She's the loudest voice in the stands every single week. But she showed me a picture. She found this picture of Nolan Susel and Jarrell Ganaway, who was a senior for us a couple of years ago, and it was Nolan and Jarrell's freshman year, and it's crazy to see his transformation, just what he's done with his body and this opportunity to play football. He was scrawny, and he was even scrawny when we got here. But, here's a guy that, will eat the craziest things just to make weight, and really commits to the plan that we laid out for this football team, has bought into the culture, has bought into the norms and the morals of this football team. And, honestly, just he's the very best teammate and one of our greatest leaders. We're going to miss him a lot after these next 2 weeks. He brings so much to the table every single week with his consistency, and that's I haven't been around very many players that are as consistent as Nolan on a day-to-day basis with the little things. And it was great. A couple of weeks ago, we do these hot seats. It's something that we took from Dabo Sweeney. I don't know if you're familiar with Dabo Sweeney, but
I think I know that guy. I think I know who he is.
We took it, or Jed Stugart, who I worked for years, took it from Dabo, and we implemented it at Sioux Falls and then Lindenwood. And we do it here. We'll do it after practice. We'll do it in some team meetings. It's complete random. We'll just pick a guy, come up. We're going to do a hot seat, and you basically just have to sit and answer questions from the team. And we've been kind of going through our seniors these last 4 to 5 weeks, and pulled Nolan up, and it was incredible to hear just some of his responses to how much he cares about this football program, and the examples that he shared about how he's changed his body, and he's been able to put on just an incredible amount of weight, and just the sacrifices he's made for this football program. But the good thing, one thing I'm really proud of, is he's not the only guy that's done that. We've had a lot of other seniors that have followed his lead and that have sacrificed and made that decision, to go up, you have to give up. And I think a lot of our guys decided they wanted to go up. And so they gave up their old ways and they jumped into these new ways and followed our lead. And Nolan is the best example of that.
How many seniors are you guys honoring this weekend?
15 guys this weekend. A lot of wide receivers, 4 offensive linemen, a couple of really good backers. So, I'm looking at that like it's tough. It's tough to say goodbye to these guys, but we got to reload. My mind is always on recruiting and thinking about the future. And I think, you kind of have to keep a balance with having your feet where they are, but also thinking about the future at the same time. A lot of coaches will tell you, what's the quote? Recruiting's like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you'll look like a bum. And so
you look like me. You look like me with
the. No, so a little bit of recruiting every day. To lose these 15 seniors to graduation, which is a great thing. It's very humbling. And what's going to be really interesting is even next year, that'll be the very first time in my career where I've been able to recruit guys in and see them go all the way through to graduation. This class here will be that last class of holdover athletes that were on this roster when I took over. So, but a great group of guys who have a tremendous heart for this game and for their teammates. And it's going to be it'll be an emotional game, and we need to win.
We've talked about it before, but when you guys came in as a staff, not everybody stuck with it. But these 15 guys that you're going to be graduating, this coming semester, that have been in your program for the last few years, they were committed to the vision that you guys brought to the program. How would you kind of characterize what they've meant to Black Hills State football, and to the vision that you guys are wanting to accomplish up in Spearfish?
I think the main word that comes to mind is just transformational. It's very important to me and my coaching staff that we're making a transformation within our players, their character, their future. All right, training them to be good husbands and fathers. Our vision statement for our football program is to build better men, and we're doing that through football every single day. With these guys, they've made a physical, a cultural transformation of this football program, where we've been able to actually even transfer our leadership down to them, where they're running the show, they're running the locker room. They see something that they don't like at practice that needs to get fixed, they're calling it out, and that's a breath of fresh air to a football coach. In my experience coaching and playing, your athletes are going to respond far more to their peers and that pressure and that coaching than they will to coaching from coaches at times. And I think it just comes down to those relationships. And our guys understand that rules without relationships will lead to rebellion, but rules with respect, rules with relationships leads to respect. And so our guys understand that, and they've done a great job building relationships with these guys on the team. I was talking to K2, Klaus Souffrant, one of our senior DBs last night, who transferred in from Mount Sac last year. And he said, man, I wish I would have came here out of high school. He's like, there's not a lot of teams that you'll join where you're welcomed so freely and so easily and quickly when you join the team. He goes, but he said, when I landed here, I didn't feel like anyone looked at me as a threat to take their job. They looked at me as, hey, look, this guy's here to help us to win ball games, and they welcomed him with open arms. And that's one of the best compliments I think a coach can receive is, we have a welcoming program of guys that love each other and that want to win, and they put each other first, and that's what our culture is all about.
We've kind of teased it a little bit already, but you guys host Adams State at 1 p.m. on Saturday at Lyle Hare. This is a team that's 3-6 overall and 2-5 in the RMAC. They've had some struggles in recent weeks. Lost to South Dakota Mines pretty handily last weekend. But what are you seeing from this Grizzlies team when you look on film? Who are some guys that stand out that you think are guys that you need to key and guys that can make an impact for them if you're not careful?
Yeah, their safety, Mendoza, has done a great job the last couple of years. I want to say last year he finished third in tackles in the conference. He's doing a great job. I think he's leading in solo tackles right now, if I'm not mistaken. But they do a great job. They're a good tackling team. They're very athletic in the back end. So a little bit spot dropping. We're going to have to look for our opportunities to take deep shots and throw underneath. Quarterback is mobile. They've played 4 different quarterbacks this year. So I think the injury bug has bitten Coach Harrison's team a little bit more than most teams in our league right now. You've seen they have a tremendous tight end. Number 88 is a phenomenal player. Well, he's playing a little bit of defensive line as well, so playing both ways. And I've been on teams like that, and I've been in seasons like that where you're ham and egging it and trying to get through that season and just figure it out every single week. And I feel for those guys a little bit, but I definitely feel like our guys received the message on Monday that you look at some of the best teams in our conference, they're peaking now. They're building towards something, and I just want to keep our guys focused on building towards something, even though our main goal that we set at the beginning of the season is not intact anymore. We still have some other goals that we can reach, and we can do something that's never been done in this D2 era, and that's to have back-to-back winning seasons. That's a tremendous step in the right direction, something that we can all be proud of and recruit towards, and our seniors can leave that legacy. But in order to beat Adams State, we're gonna have to play well. And then that following week versus Pueblo, Pueblo's schedule this year and last year is kind of tough at the beginning, and then they kind of build through the end of the season, and they're peaking at the right time, much as Tech is right now. But yeah, we gotta fix some things and make sure that we're playing our best ball these last 2 weeks. I think that's the most important thing for this football team right now.
What would it look like in your eyes to see that improvement this weekend, and what are maybe some specific things that you would look at that would measure that, getting better as the season wears on.
The one thing I've noticed looking back at our last 3 to 4 games is offensive plays where we're achieving 0 yards or less, and then defensive plays where we're holding offenses to 0 yards or less. And we have not necessarily been winning that battle. We had a lot of clips versus Colorado Mines. I want to say there was nearly, I think 40 or 41 clips perhaps, where we held them to 0 yards. I believe it was 3 yards or less. But that's something that I think that we really got to continue to improve upon, is the incompletions are hurting us. Anytime that we're taking a TFL in the run game, that's killing us. And then off defensively, we have to have those plays. We got to force incompletions. We have to force TFLs and sacks, and keep people behind the chains. And then on offense, staying ahead of the chains. But I hate getting into and thinking about point spreads, but I'm looking at what other teams have been doing with Adams State, and I'd love to replicate that type of a point spread. But overall, as you know, Alex, it's a feeling. It's a feeling when you walk off the field that you were able to control the pace of game and dominate in all 3 phases, and that's what I'm looking for out of our squad.
Well, Coach, I'm about to head up to your neck of the woods here for Winter Sports Media Day. I'm sure we'll run into each other in the hallways or something. But it's great to have you on the program. Yellow Jacket fans, you can continue to follow the Rapid City Journal for the most complete coverage of Black Hills State athletics. And the Yellow Jackets will be back on the gridiron at 1 p.m. on Saturday at Lyle Hare Stadium. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a great day.